found myself at a coffee shop just asking God if He would provide for me, asking Him, would I have enough faith to live generously, giving generously to those in need? Would I trust that God would take care of me and my family? And it was so funny because I was going through Second Corinthians and I got to chapter 8. And as I read about how Paul was encouraging the Corinthian church to give generously, and how he was saying that the Macedonian church gave beyond their ability to give, I felt this presence right next to me. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw these two shoes on the floor really close to me. And as I followed those shoes up, I realized that a woman was standing right next to me, right in my personal space. And she was holding out this card, and on the card she had written that she had lost her job and that she had 3 children and she needed money for groceries for that week. And as I read that card and I looked at her face, compassion just overwhelmed me, and all my doubts about God's provisions and all my doubts about my ability to be generous just faded. And I remembered that just that morning my mom had given me a little bit of money for my birthday. So I pulled that money out and I asked her if I can pray for her, and I handed her the money, and she said yes. And so I just prayed that God would bless her and God would bless her family. And she thanked me and then she left. And after she had left, this strange uneasiness came over me. And I was just wondering, God, why did this just happen? And then I looked down and realized that I'd been reading about generosity. And I was just thinking, God, why did you have this woman come to ask for money? Why did you give me compassion so that I was able to be generous? And why were you having me read about generosity? All at the same time, I was like, this can't be a coincidence. God, what are you trying to say? And I racked my brain for close to 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just trying to figure out, God, what is the message you're trying to convey to me? And I couldn't figure it out. And so I just decided, okay, I'll finish my Bible study and I'll go home. And so I turned my page, and the first thing that I read was verse 13, and it said, "Our desire is not that others might be relieved while you are hard-pressed, but that there might be equality. At the present time, your plenty will supply what they need, so that in turn, their plenty will supply what you need. Then there will be equality." And as soon as I read that, I just started to weep because I realized the message that God was trying to tell me. He was saying, I've asked you to be generous, and you've done that. And so don't worry about my provision in the future. Continue to be generous and don't fear that I won't provide for you, because I am the God that provides. You've done the first part of the promise. Now let me take care of the second part of that promise. My body, my church, will provide for you in your time of need. And as I realized that that's what God was saying, I just got so overwhelmed with the love of God. And I drove home and I was just worshiping and crying, because that's the only response you can have to a good God.